Gervonta Tank Davis knocks out Ryan Garcia, and we are here to talk about it right now. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Stay Waiting YouTube channel. My name is Abbas, and I'm joined with my co-host Ray. How you doing?
I'm doing good, mate. You see the trim, man. Come on, man. Talk to me now. Oh, quick one as well. Eid Mubarak, to those who've gone through Ramadan. Shout out you guys. I know it's always challenging to do that, and I admire it. So Eid Mubarak.
I appreciate that, man. Do you know what? I'm feeling the post-Eid-ness here, if that makes sense. Like, bro, I'm tired. But
celebrating.
Bro, I was celebrating and then I came back home, and now we're going to talk about why we were celebrating yesterday night as well. Gervonta Davis knocks out Ryan Garcia in the 7th round with a lethal body shot, you could say. So I do want to talk about that now, literally straight into that itself.
Mm-hmm.
The way the fight actually planned out, it looked like Ryan Garcia after the second round felt a bit more tentative for my liking. And then you got the body shot and there was a delayed reaction before he took the 10 count itself. Are you surprised as to how the fight planned out?
I'm surprised that Tank reacted quicker, because we said this in our, I guess, why is the word gone me? Like in the prediction show that we had,
Yeah.
I said that normally Tank takes his time to, like download data. He takes his time to like feel out his opponent. And I think in the fight, it was almost like he was just doing that. He was letting Ryan Garcia pressure him. And then it's almost like Tank just said, "Oh, right, got you, bang." And I think he probably didn't think Ryan was going to make that mistake so early, and he did, because after the first round, you could see it was Ryan's fight. It was keeping him at distance with his jab and everything. And I think, for me, it just came across as immaturity from Ryan on how he went about like fighting him after the second round. Not even so after the first round. It's like, why the hell did you go gung-ho like that? Because you had a good... Excuse me. It's like, why the hell did you go gung-ho like that after the first round? After you had a very good first round.
I was going to say, so if you look, in terms of the second round itself, you saw Tank that did actually knock him down to the ground as well. Did you think that was an element of panic set in with Ryan Garcia because he was able to feel his power and he didn't expect it to be how it was?
I think this goes back to the whole thing of Tank's fight IQ, and I'm really liking how people are appreciating Tank's fight IQ than just taking him for a power puncher, because it was a flash knockdown. I don't think it was a case of like, Ryan Garcia, his frame was upright and, he was in the right frame. His defense was good. It was just he was too upright. Chin was in the air, as people have criticized him for. His stance was a bit off. The balance wasn't good. And then Tank just get him with an overhand. That's him on the sweet spot. Because you can tell, like, when Ryan got knocked down, it wasn't a case of, damn, like, that was powerful. It was a case of, like, what the hell just hit me? And then he's on the floor. Your body just felt that jolt, and then bang, on the floor. And yeah, after that, I think he just panicked. He probably threw whatever game plan they had, threw out the window, and then just immaturity of a young fighter just kicked in. And I think he just tried to go in there, and I don't know, it's almost like he wanted to blitz him, but he didn't want to blitz him. Like, he was second guessing himself, and you can't do that against someone like Tank, and he showed why.
And then we kind of have to move on to the 7th round itself that ultimately ended up deciding the fight. And it was a body shot, but then you had an element of a delayed reaction before it was like, okay, wait a minute, I'm feeling it now type of thing. And then I think Ryan even alluded to it, the fact that he couldn't breathe. Does that one showcase the power of Tank itself? But to talk to me about the damage that type of punch can do, and then the delayed reaction afterwards.
Listen, man, there is a lot of... This is the annoying thing with boxing, because at least with football, it's a sport that there's a lot of casuals, but people play it to understand a certain element. Like, more everyday casuals play football, whereas boxing, you love that there's more casuals watching it, so that obviously fighters get paid more attention to the sport. But there's a lot of people that don't understand and haven't been hit with a body shot. If you get hit with a right body shot, is the most annoying thing because it is for me it's worse than a knockout at times, because at least a knockout is just like bam. A lot of the time you see fighters get up and they don't even remember they got knocked down. A body shot, you are fully awake and you feel the delay reaction of your body just saying no, shut down. It's like that Windows XP when you press a shutdown and you hear that dun, dun, like your
That's
body just
literally it,
goes,
yeah.
yeah. So at first, when it was watching in real time, I was kind of just like, what happened? Oh, that weren't even like the hardest body shot. And then you rewatch the replay, and then once again, it's also a thing of if you get hit at the right time whilst you're not breathing out when you get hit with a body shot. The pain. Listen, you've seen it with some of the best body shots where you will see a fighter try to like stand up, and you can see like
See, like it's
within a few seconds they're physically fighting their body to stand up, and then your body's just like, nah, I gotta give way, I'm not feeling it. So I feel like it was just the timing of the body shot. It wasn't even about the power, it's timing, precision. And the only people I would take criticizing Ryan Garcia for that body shot is other fighters that's been in there at top level. If they want to look down on it and think that, you know, Ryan Garcia could have done better, fair enough. But there's too many people that haven't fought that are insulting it, that don't know that feeling. And because for me, I'm just an everyday person that just, you know, daily warrior as they call it. I go training sometimes during the week, and I've had body shots where I'm just like, I'm grimacing, and my training partner can tell that I'm hurt. But obviously, because it's training, it's kind of like that thing of, all right, cool, let's let me give you a second
good,
to
yeah.
get your idea. But in a fight, you have to take that 10 count. Now, the only issue is there were, and I did see some fighters say that maybe Garcia could have got up, but it's almost like they may be thinking he could have gone up and gone out on his shield, but maybe Garcia's just thinking, why am I gonna go out on my shield
I'm
for?
24, like I've got plenty of time to.
Yeah, he could have maybe gone up and be compromised. And at the same time, there is that thin line of, if your body is gonna be too compromised and you can't even defend yourself, take the 10 count.
I think he was saying that mentally he probably could have done it, but physically it just
Yeah,
wasn't
that's
there.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He's compromised. And I feel like sometimes it's weird because boxing has this thing of like, you always have to go out your shield, always have to go out your shield. And I can't remember whether it was Vitali or Vladimir Klitschko. I remember one time his shoulder came out of place and then he retired from the fight. And at first, people in the boxing world made fun of him because they're just like, you quit in the stall, you quit in the stall. Here's the funny thing. He done that, and then his legacy is what it is. Whichever Klitschko it was, forgive me for not remembering which specific Klitschko it was. But then he went on to have a great heavyweight legacy. They always bring up another heavyweight. I respect, I'm not going to say his name. And then he fought with a bad shoulder. That guy has not reached the heights. So all these people, sometimes there's a certain thin line between when you should know when to call it quits and when you should fight on and go out on your shield. And I feel like that's something that needs to be addressed sometimes, because that whole like, oh, go out on your shield sometimes is like, I get it, you have to be in warrior mode, but you guys you ain't real life gladiators.
Yeah.
Life goes on. You're gonna have a life outside of boxing. Don't take too much damage because you wanted to say you was a warrior.
I do then want to talk about Gervonta Davis a bit more. Outside of the Cruz fight, he's basically knocked out or had a stoppage in all of his fights that I can remember. Is he the best pound for pound knockout artist in boxing?
It's bare beef, and it's bare beef.
Okay.
I get why you have to ask. I get it because commercial wise, Tank is the guy, and I hear it. I understand. Listen to a lot of people out here that haven't seen Arthur Better Beef. Go watch him. 100% knockout rate at the championship level. That is the guy who will hit you with bludgeoning punches, and everyone goes down. Even funnily enough, Better Beef, I think 2 fights ago against Marcus Brown, got a solid body shot against Marcus Brown. Same thing. Marcus Brown took the knee and it was just like, nah, that's my body's done. That's the biggest puncher. It may not be the most commercial, but Tank is the biggest. I mean, commercial, but better be the biggest puncher if we're talking
Okay.
about pound for pound.
You know, I hear that because I would have put Inoue up there as well
Oh,
because
that's another one. Yeah.
of how he finishes fights as well. But his recent one, obviously, it wasn't more down to him. I can't. Who was it? If Paul Felton, wasn't
Against
it?
the Liverpudlian. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know. But he's got an exciting fight against Stephen Fulton Jr. coming up, so that'll
yeah.
be good to watch.
So he was in my list as well, but I did have Tank up there. But you know what? I can give you better beef. I can give you that. Looking forward ahead then again for Tank itself, 135. Who can we see? I mean, there's a lot of fights that should be made, but who can we see actually making a fight with him?
In all honesty, listen, man, Haney should be the fight that he should be chasing. But commercial wise, Haney may not be the guy that they'll accept. Also, I don't want to speak about it too much. Tank's next fight might be his biggest, and that's the court case of whether he goes to prison or not. But I don't want to speak about on that too much. The biggest next fight for Tank is Shakur Stevenson. So this is, for me, what would be the most ideal with Haney getting bigger. I thought, well, how old is Haney? 23, 24?
Yeah.
The guy's getting bigger every single way, and he looks sunk in. If he beats Loma in his last fight on his top-ranked contract for all the belts undisputed at lightweight, win that fight, relinquish the belt, go to 140. I understand with him, like, big money fights are 135, but other than Shakur, I don't think no one really wants to fight Haney. And unfortunately for him, he's not the commercial attraction that would make Davis want to risk it. Shakur, on the other hand, if Haney wins the fight against Loma, relinquishes the belts, and then, you know, Davis can fight for a belt, Shakur can fight for a belt, Loma can try and reclaim a belt, then it works out better for Davis, because then it'll probably be Shakur against Loma for a lightweight belt. Then it would be Davis can grab a belt and then go face Shakur in the bigger fight, and then bam. So that's the most ideal for me anyway. I'd want to see Haney at 140. At 135, I feel like he's done what he's needed to do. You're a big boy. You don't need to keep on weight training yourself. I know he wants the big money attraction fight, but him against Shakur, I don't really think garners the attention it deserves. So
I think boxing purist wise it will, but
yeah,
because it's probably going to be again 4 o'clock, 4:30, to get more of a global eye on it, it
yeah.
would be a lot more difficult. But then I think as an international sell, 2 Americans would again be quite difficult to sell as
I
well.
don't think it's just the two Americans. I just feel like Haney hasn't captured the imagination of fans yet, even though he deserves it, but he hasn't. And maybe at 140, there's more characters where that can play along with him to build up his name. But I feel like 135, Shakur and Davis are the two that are locked in as the two guys. And then Loma's there. But I've got a feeling if Loma loses this fight, the top rank will want to give Loma a belt, and then they'll set up Shakur versus Loma just so that they can give, as they say in wrestling, they can give Shakur the rub of being Loma and then becoming the big star. So I think all roads, if everything goes to plan, all roads leads to Shakur versus Davis.
Okay, and then with Garcia as well, he's hinted, I believe, as well after post fight, he's moving up to 140 as well.
The best thing for him.
Where do you think he would fit in terms of the 140 scale right now in boxing? Because we've seen Lopez move up. It's not as, even though he's got his fight with Taylor coming up as well. We've talked about how he doesn't look mentally there as much as he was beforehand. The couple of losses, the performance hasn't been there. Could we potentially see Ryan Garcia fall down a path where he may struggle a bit more at 140, or is he going to be a lot more comfortable there?
I think he'll be a bit more comfortable if they manage his career right. So now that he's in a space where you're going to have to rebuild him up again, but the ideal thing is do not give him bums. Do not give him bums. Give him active fringe guys. Because I think that's the issue with Golden Boy, that they always do this thing of they'll build up their fighters to the point where they just get them fighting bums, and the next thing you know is that you're in a world title shot and they lose, whether it's Zerdo or whether it's Garcia. There's another person on my mind, but it escapes me. And I feel like with Golden Boy, they do this thing of let's build you up commercially against fighting nobody, no one challenging. Where it's just like, no, I get the whole building up thing. You can still build people up with live opponents. And I feel like that's what Garcia needs. He needs a few more fights. If he's going to stay with Joe Goosen, then he needs a few more fights just to, you know, show some maturity, but against live opponents, not against this guys to get him wins. And I think once they do that, then you can, you know, put Garcia back in the title fight at 140. Because listen, he's still got a couple more big paydays to his name if they play the cards right. But I think this is the most important thing in how they managed his career. But yeah, 140 for Garcia. Let him build himself up. Go to 140 proper, take some time out, put some big boy weight on. And yeah, even Garcia against Haney at 140, for me, that's a big, exciting fight there. If they want it, lay it down the line in a year or two. But just play his career out carefully. He'll be back.
And just a quick word before we wrap up, switching gears to Wales. I just want to get your quick opinion on it because I watched the fight with Joe Cordina reclaiming his super featherweight title. I think I'll say this: that was a better fight than what we saw with Tank versus Garcia.
Oh,
one of the best fights probably of the year so far. Just a quick word on Joe and the performance itself.
Cordina, what a guy, what a performance. Especially the fact that Rakminov, what a guy as well, because he got dropped in the second round and he came back stronger and he literally brought it to the wire, especially I think from 9th to 11th round or maybe 8th to 11th, Rakminov stuck it on Joe. And then it became a thing of some people had the fight as a draw going into the last round because Rakminov just would not go. Eyes shut, would not go. That is, when I was speaking about being a warrior earlier on, that is the time to be a warrior. That is the time when I might be shut, but, you know, you're in the latter parts of the rounds. Go out there on your shield and go balls to the wall. And I feel like Rakminov done that. And shouts out to him for being a warrior in that moment. I feel like the last round, Joe just got, I think enough damage was done to Rakminov. Joe was landing the cleanest shots, and hopefully he becomes a big British hero, big British fighting figure in this, especially for Wales anyway. I do want to see if he can do stadium fights. I feel like he deserves that. Who he fights next, I don't know, but I know that that guy wants greatness, and I hope that the country backs him. Being with the Welsh crowd and the British crowd, they need to back this guy, and hopefully he can get the backing he deserves.
Do you know, one thing I'll definitely say is that the Welsh crowd 100% will back him because that crowd was electric yesterday. But with that being said, we are going to wrap up today's episode of the Stay Waiting Podcast. If you are enjoying the content, you know what to do. Drop a like, share, and also we're on the road to 1K. We're nearly there. So if you're watching this and you've not subscribed, subscribe because there's more content to come every week at the very least.
Man.
Just quickly, Ray, before we leave, any last words?
#StayWaiting.
#StayWaiting. As always, guys, love and peace.